I'll never be an L because my brain isn't saturated with aspartame. There was a study that just came out where apparently diet soda is linked long term to cognitive decline. He drinks a fuckload of diet soda. Now, admittedly, I've been on the no sugar Gatorade lately, but that's to a much lesser extent. You know, it's a newer hobby. Correlation is not causation. That's great. That's great for you. I'm glad you're familiar with that phrase. Have you read the study? Uh-oh. 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 People who consume the highest levels of certain artificial sweeteners, such as just one diet soda a day, saw a significant decline in their ability to remember and recall words when compared to people who consume the lowest levels. A new study found people who consume the most low or no calorie sweeteners showed a 62% faster global cognitive decline than those who consumed the lowest amount. That's the equivalent of 1.6 years of brain aging. People in the highest tier consumed an average of 191 milligrams, or about 1 teaspoon of artificial sweeteners a day. One can of diet soda sweetened with aspartame contained around 200 to 300 milligrams, according to the WHO. Uh-oh. I guess I have to stop drinking my sugar-free Gatorade. It's aspartame? I don't fucking know, man. Aspartame. Gatorade has sucralose, not aspartame? Hold on. Let's find out. Let's find out. How cooked am I? Water, citric acid, sodium citrate, salt, monopotassium phosphate, gum arabic, natural flavor, sucralose, acesulfame, potassium, sucrose, acetate, aspartate. Yeah, let's fucking go! Let's fucking go! No aspartame! Let's go! So my cognitive decline is actually just attributable to good old-fashioned aging, then. The study says all low-calorie sweeteners. Sucralose is the sweetener. Well, it says aspartame here. It doesn't say sucralose here, does it? Wait, yes, it does. Okay, it says sucralose. Never mind, we're cooked. There are multiple in the study? Yeah, well. Hold on. Let me find this. Not sure if this is one, but it has diabetes as an added factor. I believe this is the same one, yes. But yeah, no, 8-year prospective study. Yeah, it separates people with diabetes and people without diabetes into separate categories because diabetes has its own issues with your brain. Among participants aged younger than 60 years, consumption of combined LNCSs in the highest tertiles was associated with a faster decline in verbal fluency. So that's what's happening to me. There was no association between tertiles of LNCSs and cognitive decline in participants aged 60 plus years. Consumption of aspartame, saccharin, acesulfame K, sorbitol, and xylitol were... Dude! No sucralose. No sucralose. We're clear. I can keep drinking my goddamn Diet Gatorade. Control F for sucralose. Okay. But it has acesulfame K, does it? Oh yeah, it does. Acesulfame potassium would be acesulfame K. Fuck! God damn it! Fuck. Because potassium is K. Because of, like, the Greeks or something. That's stupid. Yeah, well, I guess everything gives you cancer in the long run. That sucks. What the fuck are we supposed to eat then? Raw meat? What's good for you? No one even knows. Rocks? What about normal Gatorade? Yeah, I know about the I know about the protein powder thing. Recent tests found protein powders and shakes contain high levels of lead, like pretty high. A study found lead in popular protein powders. Here's why you shouldn't panic. Oh, all right, all right. Let's find out why we shouldn't panic. I mean, I don't use any protein powder right now, so I'm not personally panicking. Nonprofit org tested multiple samples of 23 protein powders and ready-to-drink shakes from a range of stores and online retailers over a 3-month period, showing that more than 2/3 of the products contain more lead in a single serving than Consumer Reports experts say is safe to consume in a whole day. Some of the products had more than 10 times the level our experts say is safe. Consumer Reports say lead levels were especially high across plant-based protein powders, on average 9 times higher than those made with dairy proteins, and twice as great as those of beef-based powders. How much lead is okay to consume in a day? No more than 2 or 3 ounces. Urging caution in interpreting the study's results, it says that modern testing methods are sensitive enough to identify trace amounts of naturally occurring heavy metals, but that alone does not equate to a health hazard. Um, huh? A finding that a product exceeds Consumer Reports' self-imposed threshold is not the same as exceeding a government safety limit, nor is it evidence of any safety risk to consumers. But this is the Council for Responsible Nutrition, a trade group representing the dietary supplement industry. So this is a private organization that represents the commercial interests of unregulated supplements. So I don't find that very convincing, personally. What does this even mean? A finding that a product exceeds the Consumer Reports' self-imposed threshold is not the same as exceeding a government safety limit. But they're claiming that it does exceed the government safety limit. Bot article? Maybe. I mean, I don't know why else they would just cite an unsourced opinion from the Council for Responsible Nutrition. They saying it's higher than reported? Then the Consumer Reports experts say is safe to consume an entire day. Well, how much? How much is in? Can we get like raw amounts? There is no known safe level of exposure to lead, which is present in many of the environments in which food is grown, raised, and processed. While Consumer Reports advises against downing a protein shake every day, it says the bulk of the products tested are fine to have occasionally. Even the ones with the highest lead levels are, quote, far below the concentration needed to cause immediate harm. What is immediate harm? I thought lead poisoning caused long-term issues. How much lead would you have to consume in a single sitting for it to immediately lead brain you, you know? Acute lead poisoning, it's like eating a brick of it or something. Consumer Reports tested the 23 tested powders in categories based on its level of concern for lead, which it defines as 0.5 micrograms per day. That's based on the California Prop 65 maximum allowable dose level for lead. Okay. Huel's oh, this is the one I saw people memeing on. Huel's Black Edition powder, which contains 6.3 micrograms of lead per serving, and Naked Nutrition's Mass Gainer powder with 7.7 micrograms of lead, being the largest. Huel, a British company that makes plant-based meal replacement products, published a lengthy FAQ rebutting Consumer Reports investigations. Anyone else feeling that, like, regardless of the data input into this is a really biased article? Like, they're just citing the opinions and rebuttals pretty confidently of the moneyed groups interested in debunking this. Huel is the company being accused. The fucking Council for Responsible Nutrition is a trade group. They're trying to both sides of the issue. I don't even think they're both sidesing it. Even the title says, don't worry about it. 40% effort, link the actual article. No, I saw. It's just, I'm illiterate, as you all know. Huel has been responding on Reddit and their forums calling this all bullshit. Isn't Huel one of those, like, obnoxious, macho, very online brands? It makes sense they'd be really aggressive in responding to this. It's basically Soylent. I want graphs. There we go. Huel Black Edition, Naked Nutrition. Here's the Reddit post. Looking at the report, they're using extremely conservative recommendations based on California's Prop 65 that has a huge safety margin built in, which makes the report much more alarming. However, the levels of heavy metals in Huel products are well within the safety thresholds recognized by the UK, EU, and NSF. 17 tests in the last 3 years on Black Edition powder alone. Every result has been materially lower than the figures from Consumer Reports. These have all been done in independent accredited laboratories. Across these tests, we average out at 1.8 mcg per serving, whereas Consumer Reports believe we're at 6.3 micrograms. Information how the testing has been conducted. Only know our testing has been done at the highest standards possible. I mean, I'm never going to trust a company that's being evaluated for something like this. But I wish there was some kind of like independent standard that we could refer to, not from Consumer Reports, to determine what an acceptable level of lead consumption actually is, you know? Because it is true that if we evaluated every product on Earth by whether or not the state of California finds that it could cause cancer, then everything on Earth would cause cancer and we wouldn't know anything about anything. You know what I mean? Anyone who hasn't lived in California, did you know that? Like, in California, you walk across signs all the time that just say, did you know this door has been found by California to cause a notable level of cancer risk? Like, that's everything that you do in California is cancerous, you know? The standards for what is or isn't cancerous, it's so low in California that no one takes them seriously, you know? It doesn't mean anything. YouTube short by a doctor that explains why the lead is bad. Well, I know why lead is bad.
An independent lab has confirmed.
Oh, I know this fella.
Some popular protein powders are contaminated with lead. They recommend absolutely avoiding these two products. Over 1,000% their level of concern for lead. The concern level is 0.5 micrograms per day. This is from California's Prop 65. It's a really conservative level, but lead accumulates. Ideally, you want 0. Realistically, you want as low as possible. Lead will cause your stomach movements to become erratic out of both ends. Your stomach will hurt. You might not want to eat any.
Hey, that's oh, some of you right now are wondering if you've got lead poisoning, you know?
More. And this is because our body can't tell the difference between lead and calcium. It just sees the +2 charge and thinks that they're the same thing. And calcium confirms muscle contractions, but lead only destroys things. Because the GI tract is a big muscle, lead causes these problems. Oop. Calcium also makes up bones. Lead can get into the bones, and this will cause joint pains. Do you like magnesium for sleep? Well, magnesium has a +2 charge too, and the body will mistake lead for it. Lead will mess up your sleep. Magnesium also helps conduct nerve signals. Guess what? Lead messes this up too, so your brain starts to shrink, permanent ringing in your ears, pins and needles feeling in your hands and feet. Lead messes up the DNA in your body. It can cause cancer, and it also damages the genetic material in your sperm and your eggs. It reduces sperm count while reducing your libido. Lead also...
I wish I could know, like, if a person took Huel Black every day, like 1 serving of it every day, which isn't unrealistic. If you're the kind of person to take Huel, you probably take it pretty regularly, you know. Over the course of your lifetime, how much will that fuck you up on average? You know what I mean? That's what I want to know. I want to know, like, how the aggregate levels here, how concerning are they, you know?
Also makes it so that your blood cells don't come out right, making you more tired after messing up your sleep. You want your lead exposure to be as small as possible. So if you ate these protein powders, what can you do? Well, you can get it checked out, but going forward, avoid it. Limit your intake. If you start chelation therapy on your own and you don't remove the lead source, you actually enhance the absorption of lead in your body. Get your protein from food, and that's what I started doing in 2017. The plant-based stuff inevitably will have more lead as a function of the deposits in the ground and how plants grow. Animal products abstract it at least 1 level above because animals eat the plants and then handle the lead themselves, but it depends on the product. My opinion is that this article isn't fear-mongering. Keep this information in the back of your head. Don't let lead needlessly accumulate in your body. If you don't need to put it in your body, don't put it in your body.
It's, me drinking Gatorade, me drinking my 0 sugar Gatorade. I don't know. It's, I don't know. I wish we had more data on this. It's really difficult to make health decisions when the stakes that you're playing over are like, well, in 40 years, your life expectancy might be decreased slightly, or you might have some adverse effects really far down the line, you know? Your body has like a really immediate response to some stuff. If you haven't had enough fruits and vegetables and the vitamins contained therein for a while, and you have like a fruit smoothie, you will feel that shit, you know? You'll feel that like right after. You'll be like, oh my God, that felt like I just drank a glass of water after having been thirsty for 5 years. You know what I mean? You feel that. But you don't get that with lead. It's all like, well, maybe in 20 years you're gonna, you know.
Food you do need to put in your body, so do that, and at most to let the powder supplement your diet, not every day.
People love their Soylent. People love their Soylent. Yeah, I have no idea. Nobody talks about the heavy metals we know are in fish. Can't your body process some amount of mercury? It's not like lead where it accumulates semi-permanently, right? Like mercury does get filtered to an extent, I think. Is lead considered a forever chemical, or is it permanent? Like, can your body flush? I think lead is kind of permanent. Like your body can flush some lead, but if it gets deposited in places like in your bones and stuff, it's just going to stay there forever. Element. Yeah, not a chemical, you know, element, whatever. To compare, Flint, Michigan had lead levels of around 3 to 10 micrograms per liter. Huh. Okay, so like Huel Black and the water in Flint, Michigan had like comparable lead levels then. The difference being, of course, that one of them is a shake that you take like on its own once a day, and the other is all the water that you use in your entire life. Man, Flint is fucked. Well, they fixed it, didn't they? Yeah, they fixed it a while ago. Nobody talks about that. Did they intentionally put lead in Huel? No, I don't think they intentionally put lead in Huel. I don't actually know what like fuck ups in the process, which in the logistical process of making protein powder, I don't know where in that chain the lead would be introduced, or if it was already there and you just didn't filter for it properly. I have no idea. I really don't. I have no clue. It's the plants taking lead from the soil. That shit's just magic to me. It doesn't. I'm like, it's, you say that, and I get it. I know that everything is atoms and molecules and stuff. I'm just imagining like a bar of lead in the ground, and then a leaf is holding it. Okay, so there's molecules everywhere. They put them everywhere. That shit's crazy. I didn't sign off on that, okay? I just live here. Your molecules? Yeah, I don't believe in that, basically. Vaush is def not a STEM lord. Well, you know, I've respect for the field. Respect enough to not want to put a bunch of lead in my body, you know? Your trillions of microscopic spheres, buddy. Whoa, even I know enough about atoms and molecules to know they're not spheres. It's like a probability wave around a core or something type shit. It's like you have like a little nugget, and then everything around it's going bzzz, you know? It's like that. Even the nugget goes bzzz. The nugget also goes bzzz. That is true. Yeah, for sure. For real. For real, for real. No cap. Lead can be removed from the body either slowly or with chelation therapy. I think it can get some of it. I don't think it can get all of it, but yeah, it's an option. But I think chelation therapy, I've heard about it. I think it's something you only do in like extreme cases. It's not like, oh, I think I might have drank too much Huel Black. Let me go into the doctor's office and get a chelation therapy. You're doing like a full body flood, like you're basically doing chemo except for lead instead of cancer. Like it's a whole thing. Sorry, that's probably not an accurate description, but that's what came to my head. Doesn't childbirth reduce lead in parent? I don't know, but if that's true, insane sex-based buff to the other side. You know what I'm saying? You can tank like infinite lead poisoning. You just like pop out kids and they absorb it from you. They're like a sponge on the way out. That's crazy. Mercury in fish, by the way, is not really that big of a problem because it's bound to a different molecule in the fish's body, which makes it so your body processes it. Yeah, I don't really get how that works. I only just learned how fiber works, which is fucked up, by the way. Fiber is so fucking dumb. It's but you have to eat a bunch of crap that your body can't digest, so your body is so busy not digesting it that it forgets to digest all of the carbohydrates that come after, and then your tummy hurts less. It's really dumb. It's super, super, super dumb. I feel like it's the human equivalent to how sometimes deer will eat pebbles because the rocks bounce around inside of them, and like it's roughage that like clears out their internals a little bit, you know? Or they do it with like charcoal. Biology is a bit of a shotgun blast. It's astonishingly beautiful in the you know, the delicate dance our bodies walk. And also so dumb. It really makes you wonder how the fuck our ancestors survived. But they were probably, I'm not saying they were healthier than us. I'm saying that when it came to dietary stuff, they probably were. Like, obviously, they all died of, you know, bullshit, and they had rotting teeth and so on, you know. But if you fixed all of that, and it was just like, yeah, we eat meat and like foraged berries and stuff, I feel like you could probably develop a pretty good gut biome off of that. You would have to cook the meat though, and I understand that's a hard line for a lot of, you know, for a lot of modern day trad eaters, you know? Without all the sugar, their teeth were actually pretty decent. That's fucked up. Doesn't it, you know all of those, like, you know Wall-E, where it's like, oh, in the future, all of us are going to be so complacent and coddled by technology and fat that, like, we're not even going to be able to walk on our own. You realize that us today are like that to our ancestors, right? Like, if you took a human being from 10,000 years ago, and they would, like, mog us on every level. Like, yeah, you would know more about electron clouds, or you would have like cooler opinions on French cinema, but they would just lap you in everything. They would like effortlessly be a better athlete in every field. Basically, you get warped forward to the Wall-E time, and the fat asses in the little like hover chairs are like, but I've watched more movies than you, and you're doing like chin-ups in front of them. And they're incredibly impressed. It's the same thing. I've read they didn't even have crooked teeth, that eating harder, more fibrous foods basically helped their jaw develop and have enough room for their teeth to come in straight. That's fucked. That they would literally have the Giga Chad jaw. That's fucked up. I guess every time they recreate a skull from a pre-modern human, they have an insanely wide jaw, even when they're Homo sapiens sapiens, like not even Neanderthals or whatever. But they're like, oh yeah, here's like a Briton from, 6,000 years ago, and the guy's head is shaped like a fucking triangle, like the jaw is, you know what I mean? Yeah, but they're short. That's true, but that would also make them insanely goated at wrestling, you know? Can you imagine trying to take them down? Yeah, you'd be like, but you're short and you're like a skinny fat 6'2" guy. I'm talking about myself. And they just grab you by the knee with both of their arms and suplex you behind. Like you would have no chance. They would be like a little cannonball. Imagine the bite strength on your ankle too. Trying to shake them off. You're like kicking them and they're hanging on by their teeth. Look up Tito's mugshot. They're still making people like that. I'm not. Look, he's got a wide jaw, but he would still get absolutely wrecked by a pre-modern human. That being said, this too can be your life if you spend your entire adolescence chewing on like unflavored xanthan gum or whatever the fuck people in the early 1900s were doing. Rocks? Yeah, chewing gum back then was basically like hardtack. You just kept it coming. This is fucked up, though. They really don't make people with faces like this anymore. It really is because we're all, like, fat losers, you know? It's the only people who look like this nowadays are models, but I feel like if you walked around Brooklyn in the 1920s, like, fully a third of guys would look like this. And it was all you have to do to look like this is be starving and suffer all the time, you know? That's all it takes. You just have to have no food, inadequate nutrition, and every moment of your life has to be agony. Is that worthwhile? Did you hold Yugoslavia together? Is that worthwhile? Did you single-handedly unite a region of the world so internally contentious that the term for the region later became synonymous with what happens when a country breaks apart? Yeah, but did he get to enjoy Yugoslavia? I think he had fun. Get me on that World War II diet. Well, even before World War II, he still had like the well ordered. Nobody knows this because nobody talks about it because we romanticize the fuck out of the past. America didn't become a superpower until after World War II. Most of America was malnourished. A bunch of the boys who got sent over to Europe were like skinny, malnutrition-ridden little fucking 18-year-olds, you know? Is that the same guy? Yeah, he wasn't just a veteran though. He was put in a POW camp. This isn't just the war. It's being put in a Nazi camp. POW camp, not a death camp, but still Nazi camp. So the World War II mugs are really soldiers were really malnourished going in. Yeah. A lot of memoirs talk about how when they joined the army, they got the first 3 full meals a day in their lives. Yeah, that's why a lot of them joined, you know? Gave them a good incentive. I think it was World War I, not World War II. But did you guys know that modern off-the-rack clothing was basically made by America in World War I? Kind of an overstatement, but for the most part, in all of human history, tailors made clothing for the people who went into the store, right? Yes, we know. I'm telling the story anyway, then we're moving on. If you wanted clothing, you went to a store and they're like, we will tailor the clothing for you. Because tailors didn't really know what people were shaped like broadly. They didn't really know, right? Like, think about it. It was before the internet, you know? You have general ideas of how people are put together, but how tall people are, what their proportions are, there's so much variance. Everyone's different, you know? But in World War I, we had to produce uniforms for a bunch of soldiers. So the Department of War, took measurements of all the many soldiers who enlisted and actually published them. And as a consequence, we now had publicly available information on averages for people's proportions. And tailors started using that as a template for designing clothing so they could make it before any individual came into a store. And that's more or less how we got off-the-rack clothing. That was the Civil War, not World War I. Was that the Civil War? Was that the Civil War? No, I think because in the Civil War, I don't think they had... Was it? Hold on. I'll look it up later. It's not that relevant to the story. It's just interesting how that information was used. Okay. Moving on. We are moving on. We're moving on. Thank you for the autism. You're very welcome.